Hello sweet friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you don't already know me, my name is Ashley and I am going to be a junior at Clemson University in the fall, and I'm just so excited and I have just loved my time here the past few years. I'm studying genetics at Clemson, and as you can tell, I'm actually in the dorm room right now, so that's fun and exciting. Watch my last video. I'm actually here for camp, a camp counselor for summer scholars, and I'm actually staying in Douthit, and I didn't bring like a comforter or anything, so you can see my bed here. I just wanted to sit by the window to get the best lighting, and my room isn't like the most decorated or aesthetically pleasing for you, so I apologize for that. I just wanted to hop on here and share my freshman college story. I'm just going to be sharing with you some very honest, raw, and real college freshman, oh my goodness. So I'm just going to be sharing some very honest, raw, and real advice for freshman students in college, rather than just sitting here in front of you and giving you a bunch of advice, because I have made another video in the past just sharing some advice for all college students, which is a lot of just things that I've learned since I started college. You can watch that video up there. This video, I'm gonna actually share my freshman year story, and then hopefully from that I can share a little bit of what I learned and just ways that you can be prepared going into your freshman year as well. Go back to the very beginning of this story where it all starts. So if you don't already know, I am a member of the Honors College at Clemson. So I had the amazing opportunity before freshman year to actually come and live on campus for 5 weeks and do research over the summer. And this was a really great experience because I was able to meet a lot of people. I was able to get to know Clemson's campus itself. So when I came back in the fall, I already had a pretty good idea of what my campus looked like, how to get to a lot of places on campus. So I didn't necessarily experience that struggle coming into college, yes. But I also knew people because I had come and spent time with this small group of people before really getting integrated and just thrown into this really big sea. Something else about me and just my personality is I'm a very quiet, very reserved, laid-back person. If you come and have a conversation with me, I am always going to be willing to talk to you and willing to have a conversation, but it definitely takes me a while to warm up, and I was not the person who expected to go to college and just like bond with everybody and just find all of these friends. And no, I did not see that being me. I was like so nervous but also so excited, and so I was like, you know, I want to get to know the people that live on my hall, I want to get to know people in my class, but like I don't want to be the person that is gonna talk to the person next to me. That's just a little bit about me going into college, just so you know kind of where I was at as far as like social level and everything. 5 weeks were really amazing, allowed me to really get integrated into Clemson well, but then I came back in August and it was move-in day, and all freshmen at Clemson actually move in at the same, a little bit earlier than everybody else, because they have something called Welcome Week where you really can get acclimated to campus. You can do a bunch of different activities to get to know people and meet people on Clemson's campus, which is kind of neat. So you move in at a set schedule, and how move-in works. So I was so scared and so intimidated for move-in. I only brought one car full of stuff, but I still felt like I just had so much, and I remember feeling like so embarrassed and just like afraid that I was gonna get judged for the amount of stuff that I was bringing freshman year. And I will say, like, I probably brought too much. I probably didn't need all the things that I had, but it's one of those things when you're going away from home, you just want things that are comforting, and you want things that are really, you know, close and dear to you. You don't want to forget something. And so for me, I just remember feeling like I have too much stuff and I'm gonna be judged for having so much stuff, and it's whatever. It all fit in my room fine. But just to kind of give advice into that, if you are packing up and you are going to college and you feel like, oh my gosh, I just have so much stuff, like this is so embarrassing, I just want you to know that I literally don't remember what a single person that moved in freshman year had with them. That helps you. It helps me now looking back. Like, nobody had any idea what I was bringing or how much stuff I was bringing into my dorm room, because I don't remember what a single person had, because you're so focused on you and getting yourself moved into your dorm. I would also recommend that if there are time slots at your university to move in, that you and your roommate have different time slots. I know a lot of people like to be there with their roommate and like move in together, and yay, that's so exciting and fun. But then you just end up getting in each other's way, and I was fortunate. My roommate, she had a time slot way before me, and so by the time I got there, she was pretty much already moved in. And so it was nice for me, because then they were kind of gone while I was unpacking, because otherwise you just have too many people in here and like a bunch of boxes, because it's really not that large. Like, if I'm sitting here by my bed, there could be like one other person standing beside me. And when you have like both your parents, your sister, their parents, and like, it's too much. So try and choose different time slots for move-in. It's just gonna be better that way, trust me. So the first few days are definitely hard. I definitely felt really homesick, and I was really excited, but also like kind of nervous, because I didn't know anything about classes. I didn't really know anybody. Thankfully, I got along really well with my roommates and my suite mates, but it was still really scary. I did push myself and put myself out there and go to a lot of events that I was intimidated to go to or really scared about. So I would really, really, really recommend go to those events that they have. You're gonna want to take breaks, and you're gonna want to get sleep, and that's totally okay. Like, take that rest, because you're about to start your first semester of college. You need to be rested and ready. But I do recommend really going to at least some of those events. And I can't promise you that you're gonna meet like your lifelong friends, but you're gonna at least meet people and have friendly faces on campus. So you can pass by somebody and know like, oh, I talked to that girl the other day, and you can wave. Another really fun thing that a couple of friends and I did is we really wanted to get to know the people that were on our hall, because those are the people that you are really gonna see the most. So we had an ice cream night one night where we just invited everybody on the hall to come and have ice cream with us, and we just kind of chatted and got to know the people we were living with. I'm not really like great friends with any of them, but at least then I knew their name and stuff, so if I did pass them in the hallway, I could just say hey. And it wasn't like passing a stranger or anything, so it was just nice to know people and have a little bit of an idea of what they were doing and what their interests on campus were, how far away they were from Clemson, that sort of thing. Next thing is you do not want to wait until the first day of classes to figure out where your class actually is. So I don't care how well you know the campus. I'm about to be a junior, and there's still buildings that appear on my schedule that I'm like, what is that? I have never heard of this building, nor have I had a class in there. Also, pro tip, you might know the building, but the room is impossible to find. So, no matter what year I'm in, I always look at my schedule, and I look at the class, I look at the building, and I look at the room. Because some of these buildings, I know at Clemson specifically, can be very confusing, especially the lecture halls. Some of them are on the bottom level of certain buildings, and like if you go through the first floor, you can't even get to it. So it's just a little bit confusing, and I don't want you to be late to your first class or to just get super frazzled and stressed on the first day of class because you don't know where you're going, or you thought you knew where you're going and now you can't find the actual room. So I would recommend maybe that Monday and Tuesday before classes start on Wednesday, so probably 2 days, at least 1 or 2 days before class starts. Take a look at your schedule and then walk your schedule. So also, this is important as well, you don't want to just like go to all of the rooms that are on your list. I would recommend taking a couple days to walk your schedule. That's why I said 2, because typically like your Monday, Wednesday, Friday is the same and your Tuesday and Thursday are the same. So maybe on Monday you walk your Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule. So you pull up your schedule, you're like, okay, I have 3 classes on Monday, 1 in this building and 1 here and 1 here, and then walk to, like in the order you would go to each class. And if you would have a break in between, then a lot for that, so you can kind of see how long it would take you to walk to each class as well. Because if you have enough time to kind of wait around and ask your professor questions before moving on, or do you not have enough time, or do you need to like pick up the pace when you're walking, that sort of thing. So just make sure that you have the time to get into, have the time to get into each class in between them. To simplify that a little bit for you, I recommend looking at the building and finding the classroom. So go to the building. If it says you're in Edwards 106, I don't know, go pull up the My.Clemson app. If you're at another university, I'm sorry, but I'm sure you have something similar where you can pull up this app of some sort and figure out where the building actually is on campus, or look at a map to figure out where the building actually is on campus. Go to the building and you're like, okay, this is Edwards, okay, I know how to get there, this is good. And then go inside the building and find the exact classroom that you're going to be in, because that is going to set you up for so much success. Because I still do this even now. Like I said, last semester I had a class in a hall called Dillard, and I was like, what is Dillard? And then I realized I passed by that building like every day of my life, and I didn't know that it was a classroom. So of course I know where most buildings on campus are at this point, but there's still some that I don't know, or I'm not 100% sure about. And usually it's on east side of campus, because I do spend a lot of time in the west. But so I did not have a car when I came freshman year, and I would say that not having a car was perfectly manageable. So if you're worried about not having a car freshman year, it's gonna be okay. I did have a couple friends that had cars, because you are allowed to have a car at Clemson freshman year, but there's also tons of other ways to get around. We have Zipcar, we have public transportation, Tiger Transit, and of course Friends, Uber, Lyft, I mean the whole 9 yards. So you're never gonna have problems getting somewhere if you need to go somewhere. A lot of times I would rent a Zip car for like an hour or something, and I would go and get some groceries at the grocery store. Obviously I had a meal plan, so I didn't get like a bunch of food. I would just get a couple snacks or something to have in the room, just because the dining hall doesn't really have like snack items. So I would maybe get some like peppers to snack on, or some baby carrots, a couple apples, because I didn't really like their apples. What else would I get? Some granola bars to just like throw in my bag. Some yogurts, just things like that that were just easy to have on campus. And I had a mini fridge with a microwave in my room freshman year and sophomore year, so that was a lifesaver. I definitely loved having that fridge. It just made things so much easier. It's kind of the beginning, and I would say the beginning of college was we started up here. It was just like a high. I was like, yes, I'm in college, I made it, I am so excited, like it's gonna be the best 4 years of my life. Like everybody talks about how college is just incredible, it's amazing. Like you hear all these stories about how great college is, and you know, that is true, but it's really, really hard on you mentally as a freshman, because you have expectations that are just set so high for yourself. And there's just expectations that are very, very hard to live up to. I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, I'm not saying that your college experience freshman year is not going to be great, because it is, but it's very difficult. So like I said, I had kind of this high where I was just like living and allowing myself to be fueled by all of these new people that I was meeting, by these cool classes that I was sitting in on, and just this lifestyle in general of like, oh my gosh, I'm done with classes at noon. Like, what is this? It's a half day every day. But it was also a very hard adjustment, because I will never forget, I got the syllabus on the first day and it had all the homework assignments, all the assignments, all the exams, all the quizzes listed on there for the whole semester. And I remember looking at that for every class and being so overwhelmed. I was just like, how do I do all of this? And it actually got to the point where I would start doing an assignment, and if I finished the assignment that was due Wednesday, I felt like I couldn't allow myself to take a break, that I actually had to continue going. There was so much on this list that had to be done, and it was just like a never-ending list of things. So it wasn't like, oh, I checked off whatever's done this week and I'm done. It was like, oh, I can't let myself rest because there's more that needs to be done. And that was a terrible way of thinking. It set me up terribly for college at first because it just weighed on me. It was a lot to carry, and it just didn't allow me to have a break, and I had a hard time allowing myself to go and have fun with friends or to socialize with people because I felt like I was trapped in this like cycle of work that just never ended. This to you would be, when you get your syllabus, do not look at that whole syllabus and try to put all of that into your brain, to dump all of that onto your whole entire, you know, calendar, whatever. My tip for you is look only at when the exams are for each of your classes. Then go to your calendar and write down the date for each of your exams for each of your classes so that you can kind of see and get an idea of weeks that are exam heavy, weeks that don't really have a lot of exams, to understand when you should actually start studying for exams. Because I honestly recommend studying for the exam as soon as you start learning material, because it's way too hard to catch up in college. But just write down those test dates and don't write anything else down. Then you're gonna take things a 1 week at a time. And I personally just kind of glance at the week and I'm like, okay, I've got a couple assignments due this week. And I might write down the due dates for that week in my calendar. And then I just take it one day at a time and I look at that day. So if it's Monday today, I look at Monday and I'm like, okay, what's due tomorrow? Or what's due tonight? And usually I do things a day ahead. So I would say, well, what's due tomorrow? And I'm gonna make sure that I finish those things that are due tomorrow, and then I'm not gonna worry about anything else, because nothing else matters because it's not due tomorrow. So all those big projects and those exams, write those down because that's gonna take a little bit longer for you to prepare and to study for those. But all those homework assignments and little things like that, as long as you're just looking at those by a weekly basis, you can determine what needs to get done day by day, and don't force yourself to do more than that. It's not necessary. It just is, allow yourself to have some fun, okay? And give yourself grace for those things. Yes, so that is on syllabus day. I honestly think I was talking about something about the college experience, and where I was going with that is freshman year, I remember just breaking down in my room one day and just like, I lost it. Like, I just didn't feel like this was where I was meant to be. I felt like I wasn't cut out to be in college, because the first round of exams had just come and I had failed like every single exam I took. I got 60s on every single one pretty much. And that was hard for me because I'm a good student and I came out of high school with all A's, and you know, I got a couple C's on assignments and stuff in high school, but if I actually tried, I usually did really well. And I had tried on these college exams, but I was just lost. I had no idea how to study for them, and I just felt like I just wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared to balance a social life and figure out how to take care of myself and figure out how to study for exams and do the assignments that were due each week, and just overall connect with professors and be involved in research and run this and that and whatever. And I also felt a lot of pressure and a lot of weight on myself to like go ahead and start getting those resume builders and doing these things and yada yada yada, because in high school it was trained, you know, from very early on in me that if you wanted to get in college, you needed to have all of these things. And that's kind of how it was for college getting into grad school. It's like, if you know you want to do these things, you need to make sure you're already getting started on this and lining these up. And I just felt so overwhelmed, and I kept following all these dead ends. I couldn't get into research anywhere. Professors, there were just none that interested me, and I just didn't know if that was even what I really wanted to do. And I just started to honestly feel very lost, and I wasn't sure if I was even in the right place at all. And I will never forget one day, my roommates and suite mates were going somewhere, and I don't remember where they were going. But I just like sat down and just cried. I actually surprisingly didn't cry any other time freshman year, just because it took a lot for me to get to that breaking point. But I just like sat down and I just lost it, because in that moment I just was like calling out to God, because I was like, I don't understand, you know. I was like, I think that I'm a very nice person. I try and be nice to everyone. You know, I want to be a good student. I'm trying my best, and at that point I felt like I couldn't try any harder. Like, I honestly felt like I was doing the most that I could do, and that's what got me. Is I was like, if this is the best I can do, like, I'm doomed. And I just lost it. And I texted a really good friend and mentor of mine, and I'm always happy to be that person for you, whether you're at Clemson or not. You can send me a message through DM at dear_little_sis, and just tell me what's going on. Tell me how you're feeling. Tell me if you need advice or help going into freshman year, and I can guide you in the best way possible to let you at least know that you're not alone. But I texted my mentor, and I was just like, you know, these are supposed to be the best 4 years of my life. You know, college experience is supposed to be this, and this, and like, it's just not that for me. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And, you know, I just feel like I'm wasting time at college because it's not what I thought it was gonna be. And I remember she said, you know, Ashley, these might be the best 4 years of your life, or they might not. Everybody is going to experience things differently, and God is going to write every single person's stories differently. And at the time, you know, I was like, okay, so I guess I just have to accept the fact that, like, this might not be the best 4 years of my life. Like, I just might not have a good college experience, and like, that's okay, I guess. I can live with that. You know, I'm just in a season of waiting or whatever. Well, then I met with my academic advisor, and I just expressed to him that, you know, I didn't want to do research. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And, you know, I just told him that I just have a very creative mind, and I just have a heart for people. And, you know, I'm involved in some things and just dipping my toes in the water, but that I felt a lot of pressure. And he was like, Ashley, you just need to write your own narrative. Like, college isn't about like living up to these expectations or having certain experiences that are the college experience. Like, this is your college experience, and you have the opportunity to make it your own. And in that moment, I was just like, I mean, that was truly a transformative moment in my life. And like, I have so much to thank him for, because my entire college education, my entire career, everything about college changed for me in that moment. Because from there on, I stopped trying to be this college person that I was supposed to be. I stopped trying to live the college experience. I stopped trying to push myself to these super high standards of education. I realized that I was just gonna have to do the best that I can, and that was going to be enough. And that's when I really started to like lean into the Lord a little bit more freshman year, and just realized that I needed to give all of this to God. You know, my college experience was gonna be my own, and God was writing that story for me, and he wasn't going to be able to step in. He wasn't gonna be able to take control of that unless I handed it to him. And that was even more transformative, because freshman year, this whole time, I had been trying to control everything. I had been trying to control you know, the fact that I was going to have all of these friends, that I was going to meet lifelong friends that were going to be in my wedding party. I was trying to control the fact that I was supposed to get all good grades. I was supposed to, you know, be in research. I was supposed to do this and be this and that. And I was taking control, and I was doing what I thought was the college experience, what I thought was the way I was supposed to go as a college student. But when I sat down and I just prayed and I just said, God, take this. You know, this is a college experience. This is my college experience. And this is a story that I want you to write. So I'm giving you the wheel, I'm letting you take control, and I'm gonna sit back and I'm going to do what you tell me to. I'm gonna allow you to speak into my life and allow you to take control of the places that I'm going. And it's been amazing. You know, shortly after that, I started praying to God for community. I started praying to God for a godly community on Clemson's campus. I had amazing friends freshman year, but not all of them were really coming from a godly place. And that was hard for me because I didn't realize freshman year at the time how much I needed to have people in my life that would talk to me, that would give me advice, and that would sit down with me and listen, that would sit down and pray, and would just check in with me. And it's crazy how much of a difference it makes when you find those godly relationships in your life. Have people checking in saying, hey, you know, how's your quiet time? Are you spending time with the God this summer? You know, how are you doing? Just people who are honestly checking in to see, because they actually care about you, because serving you is important to them. Not to say you can't have other great friends, but I just didn't realize that I was pouring out so much to people, but I wasn't being poured into in the way that I needed to be. Because I had friends that were pouring into me and they were checking up on me, but they weren't pouring into me in the way that I needed. And I didn't know that at the time. But when I started to pray for community freshman year, we had come back for January, so you know, we had Christmas break, and I was honest with people and I told them, you know, freshman year, it was okay. Or that first semester, it was okay. It wasn't the best. And then I came back in January and I was just praying over that community again, and then God really showed up and blessed me in a way that I never imagined. He showed up and he gave me a friend, and he placed somebody in my life who was struggling with the same things as me, somebody who needed exactly what I needed, and somebody who made me feel less alone in a time where I felt very lonely. And I think that's something that isn't talked about a lot in college, but you come to a place where you're surrounded by so many people, and you could be surrounded even by a lot of friends, but feel like the loneliest you've ever felt in your life. And that's something that's very hard to deal with. And it's hard to cope with that when you think you're alone and when you think you're the only person struggling with these things, because I felt that way. But then God just blessed me with community, and one by one these friends started showing up, and I started to get involved in actual Christian communities on campus, Christian campus ministries, to immerse myself more in a community of people who were on fire for God. And I'm not saying that you have to do that if that's not your thing. Just find a community that fits you is basically what I'm saying. So if you're not a Christian and you don't want to get involved in a godly community, like, that is totally okay. Just find people who are going to ground you and push you to be your best, who are going to be there for you when you need it. Then, of course, COVID happened, and I was kind of living this high again where I was just like, oh, things are great, and then COVID happened, and it was really just like a punch in the gut for me. It felt like I was starting over again. I was back home. My college experience was just like non-existent. I had started to get the hang of normal college classes. I was back to being online again and struggling to figure out how to manage those. And then of course this past year everything was online, but in a lot of ways I feel like that was in itself transformative, because it gave me a lot of time to just be by myself and focus and realize all that God has done and all the doors that He's opened. So one of the things that I would really say, probably one of the best pieces of advice that I could give based on my freshman year experience to an incoming freshman, is to just do things that make you happy. Do things that just are going to feed your soul and just fill you up. And whether that's exactly what you think you need to do, sort of internship or whatever, you don't have to follow this straight line perfect path, okay? You can follow whatever path you want. You can get involved in whatever is going to interest you, whatever brings you joy, whatever you are most interested in. And for me, that was so many different things. And since I stopped telling myself that I had to do certain things to go to grad school, and then instead shifted my mindset to, these are the things that I want to do to make myself happy, to find community, and to have support, I started to do better in my classes. I started to meet friends, and overall I started to be a happier person. And I think that makes such a big difference. And then you realize when you look back on all that, all the things that you've actually done that really mean something. They mean something to you because they actually came from the heart. They came from joy and passion, and you're able to talk about things with just such, you're able to talk about things in a much better way, and just to shed light because you're coming from a place of passion and a place where you really actually care. And those admissions people, they notice that. Your boss who you're trying to, you know, get a job with is noticing those things. So if you started a club on campus that had nothing to do with going to med school, but you started a club and it's something that you're really passionate about, and you have all of these things that you did in this club and all of these amazing things that you did for the community through that, or whether you were a resident assistant and you were serving your student body, or you were able to do these things. You know, for me being a camp counselor, that doesn't really have anything to do with genetic counseling. I know it does say counseling, but it's really not that similar. But it was something that I wanted to do, and it was something that just brings me joy. And that is why I wanted to do it. And because of that, my heart is being transformed, and I am learning so much about myself that I can really speak into when I go into those interviews. So the whole point of this really is just to say that freshman year, I was really just struggling to figure out who I was and what I wanted to do. And I really thought that, you know, college was going to be these amazing 4 years. But the best piece of advice that I really would give to any freshman is to just be yourself. I know that sounds so cliche, but be yourself. Do what makes you happy, and don't worry so much about all of these things that you're getting pressured into, or all these things that you feel like you need to do to be successful, or all these things that people say is supposed to be college experience. You don't have to do those things. I have never been to a fraternity house, okay, ever in my life. I don't plan on it. And I feel like that's a very college experience thing that people do. But you don't have to do that. And you can be a very happy person. So I just want to put that out there, that if you're just yourself and you're doing the things that you love, then you are going to have an amazing experience in college. So that's all for me and my rant, but I hope if you are a college freshman that you learned something through my college freshman story and just this advice for incoming freshmen. Of course, I love you all. I'm so thankful you're here, and I will be posting more videos in the future. Hopefully not all sit-down videos for you. I have a couple. I'll be putting up my Ocean Isle beach vlog soon. I know it's really late, but I will be posting that. Just have to edit it. But of course, as always, just remember to go and live boldly, fearlessly, and authentically you. I love you, and I will see you in the next video.